All right, this is it. This is the last video of this semester that I'm going to make. Not the last one, but the last series. Last is the integumentary system here. Okay, so the integumentary system, what I'm going to do is review skin anatomy. I don't know how I'm going to do this yet. I didn't really fully think this video out, I'll be honest with you guys. I just wanted to get it out. Considering it's 4 o'clock Saturday, I wanted to give you guys a little bit more time with this if you have a Monday test. So I'm really sorry, but life really blew up this week for me. Um, anyway, I'm going to review some of the anatomy of skin, and we're going to look at the accessory structures of skin, mostly like the glands and the hair. And I'm going to do, I know I went through hair like really quickly in class, so I'm going to go through it maybe a little bit more slowly on one video, and then you didn't have nails, so you don't really have to know this, but if you're interested, you can watch that last, probably do maybe a little short last minute video if you're really interested in like learning about some aspects of nails. Okay. So let's look first at the anatomy of skin and let's think about skin as being three layers. And as I may have said in class, so technically in anatomical terms, skin is actually only two layers. But when you take your tease test will assume that it's three layers. So you do want to understand skin is three layers. Why is there a difference? Because technically the hypodermis, which is this lower level here, that's not considered a layer of skin. It's considered superficial fascia that helps bind skin towards to muscle. So it's actually not part of skin, nor is it part of muscle. It's like just tissue there. But anyway, so the first layer is the epidermis. So this is our brown layer here. This is made of stratified squamous. That is an epithelial tissue. So remember, epithelial tissues are avascular. They do regenerate on their own. They're usually found in coverings and linings. Oh, this is a covering. Makes sense, right? And then depending on what type of epithelial tissue, you can either be something that secretes or something that protects. In this case, because we're stratified squamous, we're made of many layers of cells, and those many layers of cells provide protection. And that's skin's number one function, is basically to provide protection. Then the next layer is the dermis. And let me pull this out a little bit so that we can do the different layers of the dermis all on one image, maybe. So this is number two. This is the dermis. I should say stratified squamous epithelium that is keratinized. Basically, all that means is that it has keratin in it, which is a waterproof protein. That waterproof protein prevents you from drying out, but also prevents you from swelling up. So the next layer is the dermis. This is just made of connective tissue. This is where you have lots of collagen and elastic fibers that make sure that your skin is nice and smooth. And for the most part, this is where all of our stuff is found. So what do I mean by that? You're going to see, and I'm going to make this, I'll just leave it back. We're going to see that like epidermis has this like wiggle wavy pattern here that is brownish. So that's the epidermis. And then you see how it kind of starts to invaginate or dip down into the dermis, that brown part. So that's all epithelial tissue, this brown part. But you notice it's housed inside of the dermis here. Okay. So you have things like hair here. You have oil glands, which are known as sebaceous glands. And then you have sweat glands. You have some receptors here, some sensory receptors, just like that. So we can see that these ones that kind of look like a bundle of grapes that are attached to this kind of brown part, that is actually the oil gland. And then this other brown squiggle here that's coming to the surface, which I didn't label previously, this is a sweat gland. This is actually the icterine sweat gland. And then you can see like you have some neurons here. Technically, if you had like a nice rounded part to the neuron, that is your Meissner corpuscle. Ooh, I don't know if I want to put that there. Let me do that one more time. I forgot. I'm going to do the different layers of the dermis. So this part of the dermis, this part of the dermis right there, this is the papillary layer. The papillary layer is where you have capillaries, the smallest of all blood vessels, and then also where you will have, oh, that's kind of hard to see, but this is our Meissner corpuscle. Also known as a receptor. This is a touch receptor, a tactile receptor. Okay, I'll go through the epidermis and I'll show you those ones as well. But this, I just wanted to kind of go through like what all is in the dermis. Then we also have large blood vessels that are here. You also are going to see the parts of the hair. So this brown tube that's going deep into the dermis, this is the hair follicle. So that tube that goes around the hair is the follicle. And then you can see that the part that goes inside of the follicle, this is the hair root. And then as the root reaches the surface, that becomes the hair shaft, okay, which I'll talk about as well. So the hair is actually attached to the skin by a smooth muscle. This is called the erector pili muscle. And basically when this muscle contracts, the hair goes up, and that's what creates goosebumps. So this last part is the third layer is the hypodermis. Okay, so the hypodermis is made of fat plus collagen. And the purpose of the hypodermis is insulation. So actually fat insulates, it holds a lot of, and retains a lot of heat. And then it also provides the cushion layer. So it still provides some protection essentially for us to bump up against things and not like get poked. Okay. So that's like the basics of skin. I'm trying to think of like what else I forgot. Oh, I forgot. Duh. So underneath the papillary layer is the reticular layer. That's part of the dermis too. And so you see sebaceous glands, you see eccrine glands, we'll see apocrine glands and the erector pili muscle, as well as this nice lollipop shaped receptor right here that are all part of the reticular layer. So this is the lamellar corpuscle. It's also called a Pacinian, but a lot of times that's not used as often. So the lamellar corpuscle is a deep pressure receptor. So this is the one that, you know, when you sit down for a long period of time, you can feel that your butt doesn't have any blood flow anymore. This is the one that's doing that deep pressure. So like somebody punching you in the arm would be felt by a deep pressure receptor versus holding your pencil in your hand is tactile, but it's not deep pressure enough. So Meissner corpuscle is doing something like that. Um, so I'm going to do the epidermis layers in a separate video. So we just don't have like, you know, a 30-minute video. I know you guys like the 10, 15-minute things. So let me go over this other image where we have the epidermis in a little bit more detail in another short video.